down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard, going into week 3 of the NFL season. It's been an eventful one, and week 2 for sure. We have a couple things to talk about. First of all, Smokey, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I am better than Bengals fans right now because it looks very bleak. And you're starting to see the videos pop up now that they have lost 2 games in a row and everybody's worried about Joe Burrow's health. And you're starting to see those videos pop up where it's like, what is wrong with the Bengals? And this looks bad, you know, all those catchy little thumbnails. I don't know, man. Maybe they could turn it around, but it's not looking good for the Bengals at this point in time.
The Bengals started 0-2 last season as well, I will say.
Oh,
I
didn't even remember that.
Yeah, they did. They started 1-1, including an overtime win in week 2. In the season they went to the Superbowl. They are known for starting bad. But you add to that the Burrow injury, and yes, it's still a reason for concern. They looked better this week. Like week 1, they were completely incompetent. It looked better week 2, but they have to start winning games. They lost back-to-back division games, and that's hard to come back from. So you're right, yeah. You're right about the Bengals. And I don't know. We'll see how they do going forward. Should be a good one this week for them.
Definitely.
Yeah. But a couple of segments before we get into these predictions. Obviously, we have to do these. First thing I have to ask you, because I keep forgetting it.
Oh,
what's our results like? Last week's results.
I wish you would have forgotten it, to tell you the truth. Oh man, we disagreed on 5, and you got 4 of them. The only man, and I'm so sick of, because there's so many not even one score games, 1 point games that I'm losing in a lot of these cases. Some of them are also 1 score games, but the games are so close. There's so much parity in the league right now that it's getting harder, it seems like, than in years past to pick these guys. But it's working out for you somehow. You must be reading that script that everybody's passing around.
I guess so, yeah. It must be, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we disagreed on the Ravens-Bengals. I thought the Bengals were going to get back in shape, but nope, that's why I'm doing better than Bengals fans right now. The Colts and Texans, that game was actually closer at the end than we would have thought after the first half of that game. It got really...
it's garbage time.
Yeah, exactly. We disagreed on the Bears and Bucks, which is... It's completely ridiculous, but somehow the Bucks with Baker Mayfield is winning still. Doesn't make sense. We also disagreed on the Broncos Commanders. The Broncos should have won that game. Oh man,
I'm so glad they didn't. That was amazing. The whole Hail Mary thing, all that comeback for nothing to fail the 2-point. That was great.
To blow the 2-pointer. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, you don't like the Broncos.
I don't, but I picked them to win here, and they should have won that game.
That's true.
I also picked them as the post-hype sleepers. I think they're going to get better throughout the season, and actually, they'll be pretty formidable by the end of the season. Still, I can see the flashes in them. They just haven't put it all together yet, and I think they will at some point. We also disagreed on the Steelers and Browns, which I got that one. That was a good defensive game last night with a lot of fighting and controversy, as it always is with the Steelers and the Browns.
That is true. Yeah, that's the one saving grace you had there. That's true.
Brings our total. Well, that's 10 on the week for me, 13 on the week for you. I really need to make up some points because on the season so far, 15 for me, 22 for you.
13 is good. 13 is really good for a week. I'll take that for sure.
Absolutely.
See if we can keep that up. But I have to build this lead. Right? I have to build this lead in the first few weeks because I always start making the upset picks for some reason later in the season because I want to. I have this fantasy playoff picture in my mind, and I just kind of want to force it to happen, but I always pick on it every time.
It seems to do that every season. You jump out to an early lead, and then I catch up through the season.
Yeah, let's hope the lead keeps building this week. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
We have to talk about something that is probably like the weirdest thing we've had since we've done this show every season, which is the MVP conversation. Because if we I'm pretty sure that if we gave our top 5 MVP candidates before the season started, maybe none of them are on the top 5 after week 2. Maybe one at most. But who's your MVP after 2 weeks?
Well, it's still Tua, obviously. I can't go away from Tua yet, but I do want to make one addendum to last week. And I saw that you posted up the poll, and Josh Love is still in there. And at this point in time, like probably down at number 5, I'm bumping Josh Love out after that performance. I mean, he's probably going to rebound and be fine next week anyway.
This one's Jordan, by the way.
Oh, did I say Josh? Well, his brother is going to get bumped out of the MVP race for this week. He'll probably come back. But the second half of that game against the Falcons, he got ate up, and that defense just dominated him, and he couldn't get anything going. Well, the entire team couldn't get anything going. Right there at the end, man, the Falcons were just... If they would have done that the whole game, this would have been like a 40-20 type game. But it was not close in the second half, although they jumped out to a lead in the first half, so it is what it is. But Desmond Ridder is looking good. If we put both of his second half performances from this season so far and put them side by side in one game, he has an amazing game right there. He would just dominate pretty much anybody in the league, especially with these elite quarterbacks that we've seen that have been having bad games so far. So I am taking Josh Love out. I am putting Desmond Ridder in at number 5. He's probably not going to stay there. That's just wishful thinking. I hope he does, but it's probably not going to happen. I will stick with Tua for right now.
I have a very controversial list here. I don't disagree with your number 1. Tua's still on it. And by the way, I'm looking at statistics. Yards, completion percentage, touchdowns, INTs, passer rating is the most important statistic. But also, I have to consider team victories at some point, because we know that a losing record is probably never going to boast a league MVP ever again. It doesn't happen. His quarterback is too important to a team's wins. Tua's still number 1. And then it immediately gets murky. I've got Jared Goff right now at number 2. That's how murky it is. Jared Goff number 2. Jordan Love to me still in it at number 3. Brock Purdy number 4. And then I cannot believe I would say this, but Baker Mayfield is number 5 for me at the moment. And by the way, by far, statistically the best quarterback so far is Kirk Cousins. But he's not winning any games. He's second in passer rating, 6 touchdowns. Second most yards, great completion percentage. Hasn't won a game though, and that is the big drawback to me. Yeah. If he's even 1-1, I think he's second in the MVP race.
Wow, it seems like that happens at the beginning of every year. Kirk Cousins' name is thrown around in there, and then it's going to fall off at some point this season, I imagine. That's the way it usually happens. But speaking of that, I have noticed that even though they are losing, his name is at the top of the fantasy rankings, or not rankings, but results at the end of the week. Nobody's actually ranking him to be a fantasy superstar, but he's making it there so far this season while losing, like you said. So, yeah, I can see
he's producing yards.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's putting up the stats somehow, but not winning.
Gotta win if you want to be the MVP. And then we have this patented, it's not really patented, but I'm going to call it our patented game that I introduced this season, which is guess the biggest spread of the upcoming week. I don't think it's a surprise to say that there's a couple of pretty big spreads in week 3 here, since we're really having, we're really getting to see some trends now with knowing who are the good teams, knowing who are the bad teams. What do you believe is the biggest spread?
Well, looking through this, I actually picked out a few that I thought maybe would be it. I have one in mind, but I will go through these. The 49ers and Giants, I imagine, has a decent size spread, but I don't think it's going to be the biggest because the Giants showed that they can come back like they did last week, and they can win in the end. They're not just going to get stomped out by every team. Looking at this, the Jaguars and Texans should be a decent size spread, but after the Jaguars, what were they, held to like 9 points by the Chiefs? Probably not too much of a spread like it should be. The Bills and Commanders should be a really big one. I don't think that's the one I'm going with. There's also the Cowboys and Cardinals, but the Cardinals are putting up points more than anyone expected them to. We thought this was a complete tank job, but they are actually trying to win games. I am actually going to go with the Chiefs and the Bears. I think that has to be the highest one.
And you got it. That is the first time, week 3.
Sweet.
Pretty good. Only took you 3 weeks. This is a hard game.
Yeah.
This is hard to guess. I would have given it to the Dallas Cowboys over Arizona, but then the difference is actually the 3-point home game. Right? Chiefs are at home. The Cardinals are not. The Cardinals are at home. Dallas is 12-point favorites on the road. Kansas City 12.5 at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jacksonville 9 points, and the Niners 10 points.
Oh wow!
So it is the Chiefs. It is the Chiefs with home field.
I guess because the Bills were on the road, that they're not up there.
Yeah, no. Actually the Bill spread isn't all that high. It's not up there. Not up there.
Wow.
But we're starting with these picks. One of them we already took away. Giants at Niners. Thursday night.
Yeah, like I said, the Giants have shown that they can come back and they can win some games. They're not going to get stomped out by everyone like people are assuming after week 1, after getting stomped out by the Cowboys. They actually showed, Daniel Jones showed that he is a decent NFL quarterback, and he showed it last year. Like, I've told people, the guy has the talent. It's just the situations aren't right, and his O-line has been bad for several years. But this is one of the best defenses in the entire league in the 49ers, and we're actually in San Francisco. As much as I like to get behind the Giants and root them on, and I want to see the underdogs win sometimes, that's why I like the Giants and the Jaguars, but 49ers are way too dominant. That defense is too good. You got Christian McCaffrey out there. That's all you need to beat the Giants. I'll be taking the 49ers at home.
Official home opener for the 49ers, following right on the unofficial home opener with 90% red jerseys in the LA Stadium, as is tradition. Yeah, Niners are going to win. They're going to beat the Giants. Man, the Giants at halftime looked like the worst team of all time, by the way. That was 0-60 for points through 6 quarters of play during the season. A playoff team, by the way. That was probably the worst 1.5 game start to a season that's ever happened, at least to a playoff team. And by some miracle, and combined with the fact that it was the Cardinals, who are actually the worst team in the league, they managed to come back. Took them everything to do. Yeah, they're probably riding that high. The Giants are probably feeling good about themselves. I think they'll be put back down to earth. They're not a terrible team by any means, but Niners should win this one and not have too much of a trouble doing it. Patriots at the Jets.
I don't really know what to make of this. Both of these teams seem down right now. Of course, the Jets losing Aaron Rodgers, and we thought maybe Wilson was going to be able to step right in and take care of things, but I think this season is going to go bad unless they do seek out another quarterback, and I don't really know that there's one on the market that's just going to come right in and save the Jets here. Patriots, on the other hand, nothing special about their performance last week. I guess they kind of hung in against maybe the best team in the league right now in the Dolphins. And they have Tua. The defense held them to 24 points. I guess if there's any bright spot in that, needless to say, I'm not really feeling good about anything in this game right here. You know what? Since the Jets are down, I think they're just going to continue down a downward spiral. I know they have a great defense, but that's only going to last so long. That defense can't win, and the Patriots have a decent defense themselves. I'll take the Patriots on the road.
If the Patriots didn't play the first quarter in both games, they would probably be 2-0 right now against two teams that might be the consensus pick for the upcoming Super Bowl matchup, Dolphins and the Eagles. They give up a ton of points at the start. They come out just not showing up, and then they come back at the end. They just haven't finished the comeback yet, but I think the Patriots are probably the best 0-2 team by quite a bit in the league right now. I think that they could potentially be dangerous if they can start right. The defense looks phenomenal, and yeah, this is rough for the Jets because doesn't really look like that miracle that happened against Buffalo somehow is going to repeat. Got put back down to earth, and they'll have Aaron Rodgers is talking about coming back for the playoffs, And I don't see them being in the playoffs. I don't think you have to bother with that because they're going to sit there at 3-7, and there's no playoffs in sight. So I'm taking the Patriots to win this one and get their first win in this division. Colts at the Ravens.
Yeah, the Colts, I want to say, are actually halfway decent, much better than anyone expected them to be with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. However, Anthony Richardson has been injured in both games he has played. Gardner Minshew coming in might not be a bad thing. I mean, there's a lot worse backup situations in the league than Gardner Minshew. But this is the Ravens. The Ravens look good. I didn't want to believe in it after the first week. I thought it might have been a fluke, but that offense looks like it's starting to fire, and fire well in that case. And with Andrews back out there, he's got his favorite, Lamar Jackson's got his favorite target back. I almost blanked on some names there, my bad. But anyway, the Ravens are looking Raven-esque. I mean, I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders. I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl this year, but I do think they are well above average, and the Colts maybe have to struggle to just be average, if anything. So I am taking the Ravens at home.
If you had to put two teams in the AFC Championship game right now, who would be it aside from the Dolphins?
Good question. I wanted to be the Jaguars, to tell you the truth, but after that performance, I don't know.
Judging by what we've seen.
Say what?
Judging only by what we've seen so far this season.
Yeah, judging only by what we've seen. I mean, the Chiefs are always going to come back, but then again, they've looked bad also, in a sense. Maybe it is the Ravens. Oh, is that what you're getting at? Because maybe it is.
That's what I was going to say. I put the Ravens in right now.
Yeah, look.
They've been looking good.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, you may be right about that at this point in time.
I'm taking the Ravens just because the Colts are not the highest bar to clear necessarily. We don't know about Anthony Richardson. He's certainly playing like a guy who's getting hurt every week, and it's not a surprise the way he's throwing his body around. That's usually not how a long quarterback career goes, so he better he has some learning to do there. But I don't know if he's playing or not, if he's, because whatever, I think he had a concussion. I don't know what's going on there, but either way, the Ravens are going to win this one. They beat the Bengals, a Bengals team that actually put up a fight and looked good. That was a very, very strong divisional game. So yeah, Ravens look strong. I mean, Zay Flowers looks like a superstar from week one. He's one of the big surprises, and that receiving core is very good. Even we don't know about Odell, if he's going to miss time or not. I don't know, but the Ravens look promising. Even through all the injuries they've had, they look good. So I'm taking them. Titans at the Browns.
This is actually tough because I thought the Titans were really bad until last week. They actually surprised me a lot. The Browns, we thought they were world beaters after that week one beatdown of the Bengals, but it may be a Bengals problem more than the Browns just being that good. I really don't know what to make of these two teams at this time. I wish it was a few weeks down the road I would have a better grip on what these teams are actually doing. I think there's some flukes in here somewhere, and I really don't know which side to lean toward. I think since that's happening, I'm going to go and call it a toss-up and give 3 points to the home team. I'll take the Browns at home.
I'm going Titans here because Nick Chubb is hurt. He's out for the year. The Browns running game still look productive against the Steelers, but I think with a full game plan defensively without Nick Chubb, that's much less going to be the case. Deshaun Watson looks like still completely off his rocker, still doesn't seem like comfortable operating the offense. I'm smelling a lot of this dysfunction in the Browns organization. Titans, I mean, they of course they should have lost the game. They somehow upset a team that is better than them, but a win is a win, and I think they'll keep that going because they've looked solid. Even though I don't see them make the playoffs, I think they'll beat the Browns. So Titans upset win on the road, I guess, if you want to call it an upset. But I'm believing in the Titans here, or rather, I'm disbelieving in the Browns so much so that I do pick the Titans. Falcons and the Lions.
Well, I'm going to call it official that, like I said, before week one when we were doing this, the Falcons defense is legit. They spent so much money on this defense, and it's actually showing up on the field. Now, as Falcon fans, we get worried about that. We're like, the hope that comes in when we start bringing in new players. We're like, yes, we're going to be good, and then it never works out. Especially when we spend a lot of money on free agents that never actually show up on the field. But right now, it seems to be working out because in the second half of those two games, that defense has been amazing. It's kind of the opposite, that this defense is actually getting better as the games roll on. Whereas usually defenses will start really hot, get tired out, and then the points start flying. But the team is doing the opposite. And maybe it's because they're starting to click. Now, Desmond Ridder was on point in that second half, and he was not rattled whatsoever. He did throw the first interception of his entire career this past week, but he cleaned it up. He did not get shook. He came back, and he was great. The Lions, on the other hand, they lost one to the Seahawks, and I don't think the Seahawks are that good. But, like I said last week, Pete Carroll always knows how to win. So he's going to win, and he's probably going to make the playoffs in the end because that's just what he does every single season. It's kind of like a Coach Tomlin thing where no matter how bad the team is, he still finds a way to win at least 500 or more. So that does make this tough. I spent a lot of time on the Seahawks there when I should be talking about the Lions. The Lions are decent, probably above average, but you know what? I am still going to be a homer, even though we're on the road, and I don't even know if we would be favored in this game, but I will take the Falcons because I'm going to stay in the Flames until we lose.
I'll give you one thing. I think for the Falcons, this game is like a gateway. This is the gateway. A convincing win here brings them from, okay, upstart 2-0 to, okay, legitimate team. Because right now, if you're thinking NFC Championship, you're thinking Eagles, Niners, Cowboys. I think a convincing win, and we'll start thinking Falcons at least a little bit. I think this is the one last thing that it'll take to really get to that point. But I'm gonna pick the Lions. I'm gonna spoil the parade a little bit, taking the Lions. They've been very consistent at home. The losing to Seattle is just a glitch. That was a blip on the radar by all means, especially given it was Seattle. Of course, overtime, anything can happen. But I'm taking the Lions to set the ship right. I think they're also going to end up being a legitimate team. Jared Goff's playing the best football he's ever played. Ever since he came to Detroit, he's been amazing. Arguably better than Matthew Stafford in LA, or at least as good. And I like the Lions. I'm taking the Lions, still liking them to win the division. And they will do what the Packers could not last week and upset the Falcons. Saints at the Packers.
Yeah, speaking of the Packers right here. That game for the Saints and the Panthers was ugly. I think they went in. They didn't score any touchdowns in the first half. I think they went 6-6 at halftime, and that game was really horrible. Now the Saints came back and turned it on just a little bit at the end, and was able to get up to 20 points, and the Panthers were just 3 points behind them. I don't know. I don't think either team is actually good, even though the Saints are 2-0. They're not playing well at all, and I picked them to win this division. I probably shouldn't have. Now I'm wishing I would have picked the Falcons, but the Packers, on the other hand, I think that was just a case of having your new quarterback out there, even though he's on his fourth year and he's about to be out of his rookie contract. But he is a new quarterback in all sense, and he's going to go over some speed bumps here while he's getting it together, especially against the defense like the Falcons defense is turning out to be. I think we get it back together here. I think the Saints are not as good as they are pretending to be at this time, and I don't believe in Derek Carr. I don't think he's going to save the world here. I think Jordan Love, not Josh, I think Jordan could actually become the player he was meant to be. I am going to take the Packers at home.
You have successfully managed to talk me into taking the Saints against my better judgment. I was going Packers because they're at home, and the Saints very much are shaky. It's shaky 2-0, like you said. But with what you said, I am now convinced that the Saints are winning this game. I'm taking the veteran quarterback over the young upstart, who's, by the way, playing way above his head already. Like, he is looked much better than I expected him to. I'm expecting him to sort of touch ground pretty soon, and the Packers to be expectedly extremely mediocre, as I thought they would be, and soundly lose the division to the Detroit Lions. So Saints win on the road, put the Packers in their place. Texans and the Jaguars.
Right now, I'm trying to figure out which team you do not believe in. Do you not believe in the Packers, or do you not believe in the Falcons?
I don't believe in the Packers. I believe the Falcons more than the Packers. I think the Falcons make the playoffs, the Packers don't make the playoffs. That's how I believe.
All right. Well, Texans and Jaguars. Yeah, this is a get-right game for the Jaguars. The Texans are still as bad as they are. C.J. Stroud is actually showing flashes. He's looking decent, and the Jaguars need to get it back together. Doug Peterson needs to rally this team back together, because that was an ugly game where nothing offensive really happened at all. Really, for both sides, but it's the Chiefs, so you got to expect to take a loss in situations like that. The Jaguars need it, and they will get it here because it's the Texans. I'll take the Jaguars at home.
So you can say, yeah, it's the Chiefs, so can expect a loss, but it's a terrible Chiefs team.
It is.
I don't think you should say you should expect a loss. No, it's like you should have won that game. Patrick Mahomes wasn't doing anything all game. You held him to look like a rookie in the first half, and then you can't capitalize on offense. You can't score double-digit points. That's what came back to bite the Jaguars. So you're right. It's a get-right game. Offense has to start moving. However, there is no better time to do that than against an upstart Texans team that's extremely young, first-year head coach, rookie quarterback, one of the rawest rookie quarterbacks that we have. Though he did look a little bit more comfortable in garbage time against the Colts, I don't think he'll really compete with Trevor Lawrence, but the pressure is on Jacksonville. You have to win the game. I think they will do it, but this is a must-win. Broncos at the Dolphins.
Now, this is a tough decision for me because I really do believe that the Dolphins might actually be the best team in the league. No, think about this. The Broncos are getting better. They're on the road. I'm not picking the Broncos. I'm not, because you can't go away from the Dolphins, because we saw what it was last year with Tua when he was on his game. They were the best team in the league. They were beating everybody, and they're doing it again. At least they seem to be headed in that direction. They, like you mentioned, they have the fastest weapons in the league. Tua is deadly accurate, even more accurate than he was last season, which is saying something. But I think the Broncos are getting better. I think this is going to be a close game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout like a lot of people are thinking. It probably is a big spread, but I don't think it's going to happen. I wouldn't put money on it. I think the Broncos are going to keep it close. I don't think they're going to win, but I will take the Dolphins at home.
I quite literally did put money on it just now as you were talking. Usually before we do predictions, I go through all the games and I place the bets I want to make. I didn't do any in weeks 1 or 2. This week I had 3 before we started. And now that you mention it, and I looked at the spread because I hadn't looked at the spreads before. Dolphins -6.5, $20. Send it. Don't even think about it. Dolphins all the way. They're going to win.
We'll see.
The Broncos, I mean, you blew an easy win against the Washington Commandskins. I mean, you can't tell me this team's good. I'm not buying it. I don't know. I don't care about the big names. I don't think Sean Payton's gonna get it. I don't think Russell Wilson's gonna get it. This is not a playoff team. They're not competing. Dolphins win. Chargers and the Vikings.
Why do you hate the Broncos so much?
I don't know. I like Sean Payton. I don't like Russell Wilson.
It's Russell Wilson.
There's nothing great about them. I don't like any of the main people.
I don't like them either. I mean, to tell you the truth, I definitely don't like Sean Payton. But I just see this play out so many times, and maybe it won't. Maybe this will buck the trend. But I still have a feeling that they're going to pull it together.
Russell Wilson's overrated. John Elway's overrated. Sean Payton's overrated.
I agree with that. I mean, I still remember Super Bowl 98. Damn it. Chargers Vikings. Is that what we're on? Yeah, Kirk Cousins, the MVP, huh? Well, your pick for MVP is 0-2 right now, and he's actually not the problem here. It's that defense. They can't hold anything. And they would probably feel much better if Austin Eckler was back, but I don't know that he's going to be back for this game either. the Vikings are bad. I mean, regardless of how much stats they're putting up at quarterback and their receivers, Jordan Addison is amazing, and now they have 2 Justin Jeffersons, which is scary, and they're in Minnesota. Jesus, I had already circled the Chargers, but now thinking about it, if they're going to score that easily, I kind of want to pick the Vikings, but the Chargers have to win at some point, right? You can't just you can't be that dominant on offense and lose every game. Like, it can't work out that way. And this is the Vikings. This is the one you need to take advantage of. This might be a shootout in the end, but I'm gonna go out on a limb, probably lose another pick here, but I'll take the Chargers on the road.
Oh, man, the Chargers always find ways to lose games. They've made a history of it. It's painful. Yes, it's defense. It's super undisciplined defense. That's what's been the problem, what keeps haunting them. And honestly, I don't know where this is going. New defensive coordinator, defensive focused draft, but you have Justin Herbert's entire rookie contract, and by the way, he was a superstar from his very first game. You haven't won a playoff game this whole time. It's only getting harder because he's gonna earn $200 million, and suddenly you don't have the cap to pay Derwin James and Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. I don't know what's going on with the Chargers. They're supposed to be great on paper, defensively, offensively, not getting it done. These are 2 0-2 teams that the loser of this game, I'll say it is officially time to hit panic. Mm-hmm. This is a fork in the road kind of game. Loser this game, 0-3, time to panic. 2 quarterbacks that are playing at an MVP level, and somehow the team can't win. I'm taking, and by the way, I apologize before I said the Patriots were the best 0-2 team remaining. I think the Chargers are the best 0-2 team, because I didn't even think about the fact that the Chargers are 0-2. I'm taking the Chargers as well, meaning the Vikings would somehow be 0-3, which is also ridiculous to think. I don't know. I have to keep picking Justin Herbert, I guess, in this one. Yeah, Chargers to win at Minnesota, but this big pressure for both teams. So someone has to win it.
Yeah, play the fantasy assets in that game. Yeah, because that's probably going to be a big shootout. Yeah,
this is like a 34-31 kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And both of those teams are more than liable to lose on like a missed field goal or something in the last second. So it'll be dramatic and go either way. Mm-hmm. Bills and the Commanders.
Yeah, the Bills are back, and they showed it against the Raiders here. That was at home, so I guess Commanders have that going for them. At least they're going to be at home this time, and the Bills aren't playing at their home stadium. But the Bills are the Bills. Josh Allen looks like he put it all back together. There were a few mistakes, but nothing to really worry about because it was the Raiders. But the Commanders, on the other hand, ended up beating the Broncos, and maybe that is a symptom of the Broncos just being that bad. Their defense is not there, that's for sure. Even if their offense it is what it is. Anyway, Commanders, extremely mobile quarterback versus, well, I guess I can't say extremely mobile. He is very mobile, but some people are going to contend that he's not extremely mobile. Mobile quarterback versus mobile quarterback. I'm going to go with Old Faithful here. I will take the Bills to beat the Commanders on the road.
I'm also taking the Bills to beat the Washingtons, whatever their name is. Did you know that there's like a big initiative right now of Native Americans who are petitioning for the name Redskins back? And like the owners turn around and tell them that they're ignorant and they're just ought to be offended.
Yeah, I heard that actually. I saw this whole piece on it about the Native Americans and their relationship with the names of these certain franchises. Like, they love the Braves, obviously. They did not mind the Cleveland Indians because the older generation of Native Americans still called themselves Indians, and they did not mind that. Some people were offended by the Redskins, but like you said, there is some contingent out there that is actually fighting for the return of that. So I don't know. It's weird. I haven't looked in to see like how legitimate that faction is, but yeah. I have heard about it.
It's a fun irony that plays out. The name's not coming back because there's white people that are offended on other people's behalf. But
yes.
I like the story though. I wonder what happens to the franchise in the future. Doesn't have to do with football though. Bills win. They got it right. Got back on track against the punching bag that is the Raiders. Even though Jimmy Garoppolo at least something, but they are a good team. Slip up in week 1 against the Jets majorly. Offense just wasn't clicking. Josh Allen played the worst game of his career, but he came right back. And maybe another performance like week 2, he's back in the MVP conversation as well, and I'm expecting that to happen. Panthers at the Seahawks.
Well, the Panthers are really bad, and the Seahawks may actually be legit. I said that earlier when I shouldn't have been talking about the Seahawks, but I am now. I think Pete Carroll always finds a way to win somehow, and dang it, he loves running the ball, and that's just it. The Panthers are bad because they're such a young team, and they just haven't put anything together here. Did you see Bryce Young line up behind the guard instead of the center? That was pretty cool. I forgive him though. I'm not the biggest Bryce Young fan, but I do forgive him. He's a rookie, and this is all overwhelming to him right now, and he's probably getting shook. That's fine. He'll get it together eventually, but for right now, the Seahawks at home are going to demolish the Panthers.
I've seen that before. Was it Teddy Bridgewater? Someone, or Tyrod Taylor? Someone did that too, lining up behind the guard.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I am absolutely putting down my blinds in this one. I don't like Seattle. I like Bryce Young. I'm picking the Panthers. This is it. This is the upset. This is the breakthrough. It's coming. I'm praying. I'm purely praying. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to this pick at all, other than Seattle's probably overrated. They got kind of stomped out by the Rams and then fluked into a win in overtime against the Lions. And now they're 6-point favorites at home. No, this is the Bryce Young coming out game. He's going to pick him apart. 31 points, 3 touchdowns, 350 yards. This is the welcome to the NFL game for Bryce Young in a positive sense. So,
yeah.
Panthers win. Panthers win at Seattle. Dallas.
As long as he's not waiting on the snap and it flies to the tailback instead of him.
No. He'll get it right. He'll get it right. He'll get it together at exactly the right time too. Yeah. Cowboys at the Cardinals.
Yeah, this is another one that should be a massive beatdown, but the Cardinals are able to score. They're doing it with Josh Dobbs out there. I don't know why, but they're doing it. They should be tanking by all means, but somebody forgot to tell that offense that you guys are tanking. Zach Ertz is still looking like he's got it. Everybody claims that he's done at the end of every single season, yet he keeps coming back and scoring touchdowns in the end. The Cowboys, on the other hand, probably the most dominant defense in the league. They, once again, did it to the Jets. It wasn't a 0 point or a shutout, but 10 points. It is what it is. Jets maybe aren't that great anyway, but the Cowboys defense, there's no doubt that they're really good, right? The Cardinals will probably put up a few points, but they're not going to keep it close like they have been. Cowboys on the road.
This is the kind of game that's tied at halftime and everyone's starting to pay attention. And then the higher class just comes through. Cowboys win, 1-score game. The spread is 12 points. I would bet money on Arizona plus 12 in this one.
Really?
But I can see why. More intuitively than actually team classing, the Cowboys are 12 points better than the Cardinals. But it's that kind of game. You would have thought that about the Giants as well. And that didn't happen. Cowboys didn't look like world beaters against the Jets as much as they did week 1. Of course, they still look very strong, particularly on the defense. But I think it'll be close at the start. Cardinals going to surprise some people and then give it away at the end because they'll just be outclassed. So Dallas wins. Not that I care for either team. Bears at the Chiefs.
All right, I think I'm ready to give up on the Bears here. I think I'm ready to give up on Justin Fields. He starts off the games, and you're like, oh, okay, he does have it, right? And then somehow his passing game just dies in the second half of every game. And then he's relying on his feet. But the teams have figured out those run schemes now, the quarterback design runs. They figured them out, so they're able to stop them. And this is the Chiefs right here. Yes, I know they've had a couple bad games, but it's still the Chiefs, right? Like, they're going to pull it together at some point in the season. Like, we thought the Bills might be bad this season, and they pulled it together. The Chiefs have to do it at some point. You get Chris Jones back, so I don't know. I don't think the Bears have a chance here. I'll probably be proven wrong and the Bears win this one. But for right now, I'm picking the Chiefs at home.
Give me the Chiefs as well. They're not the Chiefs that we've seen in the past few years. They're still very much slow and stuttering, even though with Kelsey and Chris Jones back, they looked better. They're still not firing all cylinders, but I've been trying to say it the whole time. The Bears aren't there. They're not there yet. Justin Fields, the MVP conversation, makes absolutely no sense. They called him a dual threat quarterback, one of the best dual threat quarterbacks last year. And I was watching actually, this is a fun fact. I was watching Red Zone with my dad, and he was like, you know what, Justin Fields, that's like a really smart thing. Justin Fields isn't a dual threat quarterback. Mm-mm. But he's a great runner. Yeah, but he's only a runner. He is a one-threat quarterback. He's not a threat as a passer, and teams are figuring that out. That's not enough. That is not enough. That's what RG3 did. That's what Kaepernick did. That's what Carson Wentz, for the most part, did, except for that 1 year. Those quarterbacks don't turn out to really last all that long. They get figured out, and once their game gets taken away, there's nothing they can do because you have to pass in the NFL and you fall behind. And the fact that he's like preseason like MVP considerations, I've never understood it. I don't get it. Yeah, of course he has potential. He's got to learn. He has time, but he's not at that level yet. I don't know why people want to put him there. I don't get it. Chiefs win, probably over by halftime this one. Another rather underwhelming primetime game here featuring the Steelers and the Raiders. What's with the primetime schedule here this week or this year? I don't get it.
Well, I think they're going off of blue blood teams rather than recent performances. But maybe they thought the Steelers were going to pull it together. And judging from that game with the Browns, maybe the Browns are good and maybe the Steelers have pulled it together. Maybe they just fumbled their way through week 1 with the 49ers and they showed it against the Browns. That defense really showed up. You got Watt and Highsmith out there dominating at the end of that game. And I think those two are going to be a deadly duo in the end. And I think they're going to help the Steelers win a lot of games. Kenny Pickett looks shook at sometimes. But when he finds Pickens, that is a dynamic receiver that can go for 70 yards. And we saw that Monday night. The guy, Pickett to Pickens, is going to be the future there as long as Pickett can actually pull it together and become the quarterback he was drafted to be. This is a first rounder. He has to figure this out. Otherwise, he'll probably be out next year. The Raiders, on the other hand, the Raiders are not good. Devontae Adams showed up this past week and put up a ton of fantasy points if you're interested. But other than that, that's the only bright spot on the Raiders right now. Josh Jacobs was the rushing leader last season and put up -2 yards last week. I'm glad I didn't have him on any of my teams, but sometimes when running backs get paid, they just fall off the map, and we are seeing that in the NFL right now. I take the Steelers on the road here.
Also take the Steelers, and I'm taking them on the backs of mostly their defense, which came through. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but TJ Watt is like, he's leading the league in sacks, forced fumbles, and I think also fumble recoveries all at the same time, and he scored a touchdown. So definitely defensive player of the year front runner already, and that would be the second time for him already because he won in 2021, I believe. He's been looking amazing. Generally, Steelers' defensive line has a ton of talent and is a very deep unit. So I'm taking them to smother the Raiders here for the most part. I think the Raiders are going to end up being what they always are, which is like a roughly 500 team. Nothing too impressive. I don't think that the Garoppolo versus Derek Carr thing is too big of an upgrade or too important or significant enough of an upgrade if Jimmy Garoppolo stays healthy. That will get them over the hump in their division. So they'll be kind of hanging around no man's land as they always do. Steelers win, though. The Steelers are probably a volatile team offensively, so I'm not super confident about this one. I would not bet money on this, and I'm not confident in it, but I believe in the Steelers defense. Eagles at the Bucks.
If you are a fan of hero ball, this is your game right here. This is going to be two quarterbacks just running around trying to make plays whether they can or not. They love to play hero ball. Both of these. Baker has not been successful at it in the past outside of a couple times with the Browns and then that one single game with the Rams last year. And now he's done it twice with the Bucks. Maybe this is the spot for him. Maybe it's going to work out. It's hard to believe. But Jalen Hurts went to a Super Bowl playing hero ball last year. This is tough. If you would have asked me before the season, I would have said there's no way the Eagles are going to win this one by 40. But the Bucks are actually playing really well. As much as I hate to say that, the Eagles are also, this is an undefeated matchup. I take the Eagles on the road because that's who should win this game.
Is the NFC South the best division in football?
Actually, we're only one. Who are we behind? I looked it up earlier. It's another NFC team division that's actually better than us. But yeah, go ahead and talk. I'm gonna look up the
maybe the East, maybe.
I think it may be the East. Yes.
But yeah, it should be right. The
it is.
Eagles and Cowboys are both 2-0, and then the Commandskins and the Giants are 1-1.
Yes.
Yeah. Who would have thought the NFC South? I mean, you kind of hinted at. You said this division wouldn't be as candy as it was last year. You said this never happens 2 years in a row. Someone's going to take the runner. And yeah, you were right. It looks like it's going to turn out to be a competitive division. I really want to take the Bucks here, believe it or not. I so want to pick them, but I can't do it just yet. Of course, I'll kick myself if they end up winning, right? Because that would have been
me too.
The genius pick. But I have to take the Eagles. Too much talent on defense. I think this is by far the best defense that the Bucks have faced so far. And I think it'll give them a little bit of a reality check that Baker Mayfield is still just Baker Mayfield. He's not suddenly turned into a top 10 quarterback. He's still his mediocre self that he never really got out of, which is fine, but it's not good enough to beat a super team like the Eagles. So Philly wins on the road. All's good. Rams and Bengals.
This, before the season started, if you would have been told that the Bengals were going to go 0-2 in the first two, you would say, well, this has got to be the get-right game, right? The Rams are playing decent. Puka Nacua was the number one wide receiver this past week, and I believe overall for the first two games. This guy has come out of nowhere to play that Cooper Kupp role, and he is actually extremely successful with it. He is getting a ton of targets, and Tutu Atwell, following him up, is doing close to the same thing. It's amazing what they're doing down there. The Bengals, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to get it together. I don't know what Joe Burrow has going on. I don't know if he's even going to play here. I imagine if there's any chance that the doctors say he could play, he's going to be out there because Stafford would do the exact same thing. I see why they picked this to be the Monday night game, the final Monday night game, but I don't know that it's going to be as exciting as everyone would have hoped before the season started. I'm going to say that the Bengals go 0-3 and the Rams continue their, well, I guess it's not a streak yet, but it will be after this one. I'll take the Rams on the road.
It won't be a streak. They lost last week. They won week 1, lost 2.
Yeah.
It'd be a streak of alternatingly winning and losing. It's the start of a streak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, yeah, Puka Nacua is by all accounts, by all definitions, pretty much a top 3 receiver, a top 3 to 5 receiver so far. Very young season. It's only been 2 weeks. Don't expect that to stick around for the whole season. But yeah, I mean, even against the Niners, like they were picking those corners apart for the majority of the game, and then Stafford threw 2 picks, and that's what ultimately was the difference in the game. So yeah, I guess we have to respect the Rams. I mean, they climbed up in the power rankings after losing a game. Doesn't happen a lot, and that goes to show you, like, they might be for real. They might have a lot of young players, but they seem to be kind of ahead of schedule. So I fear for the Bengals in this one. but I'm going to be a believer here. I'm going to say the Bengals dig deep. I'm going to say the Bengals get back to who they are. And I'm saying this at this moment without certainty if Joe Burrow is playing or not. We don't know if he's playing. I think it's become pretty clear that he's never been fully healthy this season. I think that explains a lot of what we saw in the first 2 weeks, and those game results we saw kind of just confirmed what a lot of people had feared, is that he's not 100%. Whether he will be playing in this game, I don't know. Will he be 100%? I'm sure he won't be, but I'm going to say the Bengals find a way, particularly because it is against the Rams, and I don't like the Rams. So I need the Bengals to win this one, and it's primetime Monday night, Bengals at home, Super Bowl rematch, time for revenge. I think the Bengals come out on top. But if they don't, could be panic time for them as well, just like it is for the Chargers or Vikings in this other one. Yeah. Bengals could be the best 0-2 team as well, though I wouldn't even believe it. I'd say Chargers are.
Yeah, right now I believe the Chargers. They put up more points at least so far.
Yeah,
but
Bengals.
The Vikings are also trying to make a claim to that.
Oh yeah. So the Patriots, maybe.
Yeah, true. They've all played some really tough games, considering.
How many games are we disagreeing on this week?
5 games. We have the Titans, the Browns, the Falcons, Lions, the Saints, Packers, the Panthers, Seahawks, for some weird reason, and the Rams and Bengals.
Telling you, Bryce Young will get it done. You know, I'm all right with giving you all the other 4 as long as the Panthers win. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I'll give you the 3 games back, but the Bryce Young thing, it was such a specific prediction. If he wins and it's his coming out party, that would be that'd be worth it, I think.
I wouldn't mind that if I go 4-1 and that's the game that I miss.
I believe you wouldn't mind that.
I don't care about the Seahawks, and it will keep the division that much stronger if the Panthers win. So
True. NFC South could be legitimate. Probably not. Probably they won't win, but if there's ever a correct timing to do it, this is probably it for Bryce Young. Maybe game 3. Maybe game 3 is the answer. We talked about the MVP before. MVP pick discussion, whatever. There's a poll on the community page of this channel every single week. The one for this week is already out, and the question is simple. You can go vote for your MVP. If the season ended today, who's your MVP? Now, the question is not who's the favorite to win the MVP. I know you have Mahomes and Allen and then Burrow, maybe even still are betting favorites over guys like Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, or Jordan Love. The question is, if the season ends today, regular season is over, who's your MVP this week? We both agree it's still Tua. Maybe the gap has closed a little bit, with Tua struggling a little bit in the second half against the Patriots defense. To me, still Tua, but maybe someone has a different opinion. There's definitely some fresh names up in the top 5, and probably more than 5 candidates that would get votes if it was possible to include more than 5 choices. If you pick someone who's not named, just type it in the comments. But you can go ahead and vote there. I'm curious to see kind of how it develops over the season, because usually there's some swings. Usually there's some favors, and then suddenly someone else rises to the top. So we'll see how that goes.
Always.
A lot of disagreements this week, so should be a good one. By the way, what is this deal with the Monday night doubleheaders? Is that just a thing they do now?
Apparently, I don't know if they're going to do it all season. They didn't do it in week 1, but they did last week and this week. So I don't know. I haven't looked through the entire schedule to see if they're going to continue that or not.
Next week they don't.
Oh, okay.
Next week it's just the Jets getting thrown to the alligators with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because they thought Aaron Rodgers would be there. No, they only do it this week and last week.
Week 5. Week 4, week 5 weeks.
Yeah, they're not doing it anymore.
Yep, so I guess just those 2 weeks. Maybe there's some kind of... Maybe it's for sweeps or something, some kind of television ratings.
Could be some kind of TV deal. That's usually what it is, right? There's something there, but... That is all of our picks for week 3. Let us know yours in the comments. If there's anything you heavily disagree with, let us know. And we'll see you in the next one.
Doses.
Check the scoreboard. Ha. Check.